So on the subject of data and managing data and using data within an organisation, I think there are two or three angles on this one. I think number one, data is incredibly important in decision making, because what I've found in my experience is that very thorough analysis, whether it be sort of market research or competitor data, or just data around generally how your own product or business is performing, can lead to sort of insights and decisions that wouldn't otherwise be taken. And one or two examples is just sort of understanding, one business I was in, based in South Africa, was understanding how our customers were using our products. And I won't go into the details of it, but essentially it led to a whole pricing strategy that was incredibly value adding when we understood how they were using them and what the potential might be to grow the market through a pricing strategy. But that came out of, my point that I'm trying to make is, that came out of a very close and detailed inspection of lots and lots of data. So you can get those insights from data to drive good decision making. I think, and that's true sort of generally across when you look at business activities. I think the challenge though is often pulling out the data that's valid and helps with that decision making. It's more tricky, surprisingly, than you might imagine, to find the relevant data at times, and it's sort of lost away because people get very used at times to, and it's a bit odd CFO saying this, but to pure financial metrics. So it might be sales and costs and profits are kind of the big metrics that we use. But what I think we should always try and do, what I try and do with sales, for example, is break everything down into a pricing, customer numbers, how are customer numbers developing, where are customers based, so you could make it a bit more real than just a pure sterling or dollar number, if that makes sense. Just try and get into the granularity. Try and put everything, if you can, on at least a volume and a price basis. And if you can get more granular than that in terms of mix and so on, then all the better. So it's like so data is important. It's getting the right data and extracting the right data. I found at times that sometimes you've had to create whole new systems to get the data that you want. And you might think it's sort of glaringly obvious. I can remember one business that I was at, and we spent 3 months trying to find how much revenue we generated from our number one customer across the business. Because the systems didn't demonstrate the revenue in that way. It was spread across a whole variety. Now that can't be right. Again, it's just a simple example, but data is incredibly important, not that easy to get, but then when you get it, you've got to know which bits are important and relevant and which bits aren't. There's one aspect that I would like to highlight a little bit more though, is that when you think about sort of making a decision and your reliance on data, there does come a point where where it's appropriate to follow what is instinctively the right thing to do. And sometimes you just kind of know intuitively. I think your judgment gets better as you get more experience and you get more used to success, and you realize that your judgment tends to be good 9 times out of 10, and so you should go back to that rather than necessarily getting bogged down in the data and analysing it to death. So whilst having lauded the importance of data, good old-fashioned instinct and common sense is incredibly important in decision making. And ultimately, it's better to sometimes not making a decision is a terrible thing to do. So make a decision, go with it, follow it, support it through, execute against it, give it your best support, but don't delay once it's clear with your own sort of common sense that it's the right thing to do.